Welcome, everybody, to the second Future of War conference. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have people who've come from all over, and a special thanks to those who've traveled from afar, from Australia, from Austria, from the UK, some folks who've come here from the field, from Syria, from Iraq, from elsewhere. My name is Daniel Rothenberg. I co-direct the Future of War project with my colleague Peter Bergen. The project links Arizona State University, one of the largest and most innovative public research institutions, with New America, think tank and civic engagement institution. So this is the second year of our conference. Some of you were here last year, and we're thrilled to spend the day with you. I'm going to go over a little bit of housekeeping. So a very big thanks, first of all, to our media partners. That's CNN and Defense One. A reminder to turn off or silence your cell phones. When we have a nice space here that allows for quite a bit of networking and conversations, but please bring your conversations to the space behind this area. There is a system in place in the case of emergencies. There would be a loudspeaker announcement, and then there will be event managers. This is a very well-prepared conference, and managers will lead groups out of the building. In the event of an emergency, attendees are instructed to meet at Freedom Plaza, and if that's unavailable, then at 14th and Commerce. And in the event of a medical emergency, there are conference staff who are CPR and AED certified. We're very excited that we have books and DVDs from our speakers that are available for purchase in the back. I'm sure you've seen that area. There's some excellent titles. New America and ASU, we value your feedback on the conference, and there is a brief survey that you'll receive in your email box after the event. So if you have thoughts and ideas, please respond to the survey. And members of the New America staff, as well as a group of ASU students, are here and can help answer your questions, and you can find them around in different areas at the registration desk and other places. So we're thrilled to have all of you here. We are trying this year, as in last year, to do some polling. You will see on your chairs there's little devices, and we're going to do a number of different polls. So if you leave the device on the chair when you get up. As we go to each of the polling questions, it's fairly simple to understand the polling. We'll ask the question, and then we'll see immediately the response to those questions. So to start our event, we are joined here by James O'Brien and Anne-Marie Slaughter. James O'Brien is the Senior Vice President of University Affairs and the Chief of Staff to ASU President Michael Crow. He's responsible for implementing complicated strategic and tactical objectives of the Office of the President. That's a wordy sentence, but ASU is committed to a really exceptional number of different innovative projects, our project being one, and Jim is at the forefront of that process. He's an attorney who previously worked as corporate counsel for several publicly traded companies, as well as in private practice. He'll speak first, and then Anne-Marie Slaughter will come to the stage. Anne-Marie Slaughter is the president and CEO of New America. From 2002 to 2009, she served as the dean of Princeton University's Woodrow Wilson School of Public and International Affairs. From 2009 to 2011, she served as the director of policy planning for the U.S. Department of State, the first woman to ever hold that position. And upon leaving the State Department, she received the Secretary's Distinguished Service Award for her work. She is the author of A New World Order, The Idea That Is America, Keeping Faith with Our Values in a Dangerous World, and most recently, the excellent Unfinished Business, Women, Men, Work, Family. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll hear from Jim O'Brien.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of President Michael Crow, I wanted to welcome you here today and just say briefly a word about ASU and about this partnership with New America. You know, I think this is an unusual partnership, and today as you spend the day with us and we think about this topic and we engage in, I think, really important and valuable conversation, I'd invite you to think about this partnership and the value of it, not only in respect to this topic, but to other topics like this. So at ASU, we're pleased. We were recently identified as the most innovative university in the United States. So we take that to heart in the sense that we're trying to find ways to innovate learning and teaching and knowledge production. And this partnership with New America is that kind of innovation. What it represents is the nation's largest public research university coming together with one of the most innovative think tanks in Washington, D.C. to conduct an experiment. Is it possible for academia and the world of Washington, D.C. and think tanks to come together and work together to solve problems, to come up with new ideas, to have conversations that wouldn't otherwise take place? Now, we're about 5 years into this partnership with New America, and I think at the midpoint of the experiment, we would say fantastic results, but more to come, and I think more experimentation to be done. And again, on behalf of President Michael Crow, I want to thank New America really for their partnership, for engaging in this experiment with us, and for convening a group like this today and having this conversation that wouldn't otherwise take place in the hopes that a major public research university working with one of the most innovative think tanks in Washington, D.C. can make a difference through events of this type. So thank you for being here. And Anne-Marie?
Thank you. So let me start in turn, first of all, by welcoming all of you. This is really something before 9 o'clock in the morning. I know, given the nature of many of this crowd, this is late for the members of the military, but nevertheless, it's a gorgeous spring day, and we've got a packed room and a packed day. And so I want to also just thank ASU. It is an innovative partnership. It is something that is both generating policy and recommendations, but also courses and content that is part of a broader educational mission. New America's focus is big ideas, and that is a big part of what you'll hear today. We are looking down the road. Something when you talk about the future of war, this is not what do we do with the defense budget next year. This is where will we be in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and what do we do now to prepare for that? So big ideas, also bridging policy and technology. The future of war has always been technology, whether that was gunpowder or drones or cyborgs or whatever the new technology is, but we're at the intersection of thinking about how you still make policy in face of very different technologies. And finally, broad public conversation. So the kinds, white papers, yes, but also best-selling books. And what I wanted to do before we launch into the conference was just to talk to you a little about what this team, our Future of War team, have produced in the last year. So Chris Fussell, who is a member of our Future of War Network, co-authored Team of Teams with General McChrystal and 2 other co-authors. It's a fabulous book if you haven't read it. I am writing a book myself on network theory and foreign policy, and I found this book to be extremely useful. Peter Bergen, the co-director of the Future of War Initiative with Dan Rothenberg, whom you'll hear from later, has written The United States of Jihad, which has just come out. On Americans joining al-Qaeda, it is such an important book for all of us in terms of the future of war, but also civil liberties, radicalization, what it means to be an American, very important themes. Peter Singer wrote Ghost Fleet. Fabulous read. If you haven't read it, it's terrifying, and even more terrifying when you get to the footnotes and realize that everything you've just read is, in fact, in the public domain, either in the United States or China. So that is also, not just big ideas, but breaking the boundaries of genre, a novel with footnotes. Janine DiGiovanni wrote Dispatches from Syria, The Morning They Came for Us, another excellent book on such an important issue for all of us. And then David Kilcullen examined The Rise of ISIS in Blood Year. Those are all books that are books you want to read. I mean, I often flee to novels at night, and Ghost Fleet kept me awake at night. But the point is, these are not these are beyond the Beltway books. They're not just things that we policy wonks want to read. They are books that engage a broader public, which is a big part of what New America is about. We have also issued reports on ISIS's Western fighters. We're maintaining the database, and we are still the go-to destination to track the covert drone war and the proliferation of military drones around the world. So that's our partnership. That's some of our product. That is what ASU and New America are aiming for this partnership. I now get to start the polling. So take your clickers, and I'm going to be asking you some questions, that three of the initial questions before we turn to an extraordinary list of speakers, including the three of our service chiefs. Okay, so the first question: what is the most overhyped threat to the national security of the United States? So Russia, China, Iran, terrorism, cyber. We spent all day yesterday on cybersecurity, or climate change. What is the most overhyped threat? So click A, B, C, D, E, or F for the most overhyped threat. Okay, polling closed. All right, second. Oh, here we go. So there we've got answers instantly. All right, so terrorism is the most overhyped threat, followed by Iran, followed by climate change. Interesting. Okay. So, all right, wonderful. All right, which issues should the next administration focus additional national security attention and resources on? Again, same 6 choices: Russia, China, Iran, terrorism, cyber, or climate change. So we're... Okay, 158 responses. Polling closed. Cyber. All right, you guys are not being logical and consistent. You are not supposed to get this answer from what's the most overhyped threat. Many of you said, okay, so cyber. Cyber, and then Russia, and then China. And interestingly, Iran. So you thought Iran was one of the most overhyped threats, and you don't think we should be focusing on it. That's interesting. Okay? The third one. Where will Russia use hybrid warfare methods next? I have to say, I was at the Munich Security Conference, and this, to me, is an absolutely central question. Moldova, the Balkans, Turkey, the Baltics, none of the above. And I will just, I won't bias the voting. I'll tell you what I thought afterwards. There's a question here. None of the above. Okay, already. So the Baltics. Yeah, I will just say, having heard both Prime Minister Medvedev and also Sergei Lavrov at the Munich Security Conference, Medvedev referred to Moldova and the Balkans over and over again as, this is where we have a common interest, but the implied threat was, if you don't engage with us, that's where you'll find instability next. So I have to say, I think that's interesting. Okay. So that's our polling. Let me now introduce our first speaker, General Mark A. Milley, and we're thrilled to have him here. General Milley assumed duty as the 39th Chief of Staff of the Army on August 14, 2015, after most recently serving as the 21st Commander of U.S. Army Forces Command at Fort Bragg in North Carolina. He served in command and leadership positions from the platoon and the operational detachment alpha level through Corps and Army Command, including, and it's a long list, the 82nd Airborne Division and the 5th Special Forces Group at Fort Bragg, the 7th Infantry Division at Fort Ord in California, the 10th Mountain Division at Fort Drum in New York, the 2nd Infantry Division in Korea, the Joint Readiness Center at Fort Polk in Louisiana, the 25th Infantry Division at Schofield Barracks in Hawaii, the 101st, the Air Assault Division at Fort Campbell in Kentucky, and the 1st Cavalry Division and 3rd Infantry Division in Baghdad, Iraq. I just have to say, when I was reading over this earlier, I was struck by the range of commands, of course, across the country, but also around the world. As part of just the breadth of experience that also reflects, obviously, the range of our military. Now, the single most important piece of his biography, by a long shot, he holds a BA from Princeton University in the great class of 1980. Now, I thought maybe General Milley and I could, do a locomotive, but we'll just give a shout out to the great class of 1980, clearly the foundation of all his subsequent success. He also holds a master's degree from some other Ivy League in New York, Columbia, and the U.S. Naval War College, and is also a graduate of MIT's Seminar 21, which I've had the great honor to be able to be a faculty member there. So with that, please join me in welcoming General Milley for our opening session. Thank you very much.